by the looks of things. So Eid Mubarak. Can I welcome you all this evening here to the Grand Hall and to, as Pansy said, one of the most beautiful rooms I think of Parliament and one of my favourite places. Can I acknowledge her as Minister of Ethnic Affairs, Phil Goff as the Leader of the Opposition, Ashraf Chowdhury, Keith Locke and any other members of Parliament that might be here. Members of the Diplomatic Corps, it's great to see you here and to welcome you back to Parliament. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. So it's a pleasure to be here this evening to mark Parliament's celebration of Eid. It's the 6th year we have celebrated the festival of Eid here at Parliament. It of course marks the breaking of the fast over the month of Ramadan. It's a very happy time when Muslims renew and strengthen their faith, gather with their loved ones and give to those less fortunate. From New Zealand's perspective, of course, we are becoming a much more diverse and multicultural society, a country made up of many faiths and religions, and I think it's made New Zealand a lot more interesting country to live in, hopefully a more tolerant country to be part of. According to the last census, there are more than 30,000 Muslims now in New Zealand, and many of them are recent migrants. I want to particularly acknowledge the Ambassador of Turkey who's here tonight, the High Commissioner from Malaysia, two countries that are of course large Muslim countries and that I've visited in the last 12 months. When we had the recital of the Quran before, it actually reminded me of my time when I was in Turkey for the Anzac Day commemorations, being in Çanakkale and being woken up about very early in the morning with the sound of the Quran wafting over the surrounding suburbs. It was a very peaceful way to be woken in the morning, a little early for me at that particular time, but certainly it was a very nice sound. It was a great way to wake up. So the government strongly values the contribution that's made by the migrant communities that come to New Zealand. And in a practical sense, we're seeing migrant communities doing amazing things, and the Muslim communities at the forefront of that. Many of you will either have friends or family or be living yourselves in Canterbury. Be obviously aware of the earthquake that's taking place down there. And I want to thank the Federation of Islamic Associations of New Zealand who are rallying support and funding to help rebuild Canterbury after the earthquake. And I thought that was a very touching thing that we've seen the community doing there. I was also at an Indian function actually the very night after the earthquake on Sunday evening. And as I went up on the stage, actually, the first thing they did was present me a cheque for $11,500 to go into the Merrill Fund for the helping of the rebuilding of Canterbury. And I think that's just a sign of the sense of community that's coming out of our migrant communities. So I want to thank you for that. There is huge opportunities, of course, for New Zealand as we continue to try and trade with the world. And the Muslim world, of course, is not only extremely large in nature, but increasingly prosperous, of course. It presents enormous opportunities for me. I remember when I had dinner with the Prime Minister of Malaysia, actually, after we'd signed the free trade agreement. And one point in the conversation he said to me, are you taking the opportunities you have around halal seriously? And I said, well, look, I think New Zealand businesses are. He said, well, it's a $2 trillion market. It's a hugely prosperous part of the world and a community that wants to buy a lot of products that come out of New Zealand. And you should be thinking very carefully about how you might be more attractive to those markets, sell more products from those markets. I thought it was very interesting concept. Interestingly enough, actually, I don't know if you know this story, but in the case of the celebration of the Hajj festival, of course, as you know, that they have a festival where they'll slaughter sheep, and that sheep gets given to charity. It actually goes to a sheep meat processing plant that was designed by New Zealanders and obviously erected in Mecca. But the very people who were involved in the design of that building had never been there because they're not Muslim and therefore they can't go to Mecca. But it shows you what a global world that we live in, where New Zealand's expertise in the processing of animals can be exported to a Muslim country in a part of the world where New Zealanders can't go, or New Zealanders are not Muslim, and yet play such a big influence on a very important celebration for the Muslim community. So I think we are looking at those opportunities and making sure that we expand those. And I think one of the very exciting things about New Zealand becoming a much more culturally diverse country is we can use those people-to-people contacts. Whether it's with the Chinese community or the Indian community, whether it's by religion or by ethnicity, they present enormous opportunities for us to find our way in those markets. Because I always think it's one thing for New Zealand to have a free trade agreement, it's a completely different issue for us to have a strategy and a capability for us to intersect in those markets. So thank you for being with us this evening and for celebrating Eid, and thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening. I'll do my very best not to give you my cold. I'm reliably informed by my doctor that that's not a risk anymore. I think the only person I've probably affected is my wife, who may well be very unhappy with me if that turns out to be the case, but so far it hasn't been. Anyway, thank you very much, and welcome to see you.
Thank you, Prime Minister.